Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayeet. In this session, we'll be discussing from the 37th verse of the 7th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Swaprananya parapranai prapushnati aghrana khalaha tadvadastasya hi shreyo yaddoshad yatyadha puman. The meaning of this 37th verse: a cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being, otherwise he will go down by his own actions. Now Krishna is instructing Arjuna that Ashwatthama has committed a very serious crime, and if he is not punished now, he is going to degrade himself and he is going to suffer the reaction anyway at a later stage. So he has to be punished for his own good, for his own well-being. So Srila Prabhupada elaborately explains this in the purport. A life for a life is just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of another's life. So much discussion nowadays going on that capital punishment is not justified. Capital punishment is to for a murderer. For a murderer, if the laws of the land punish him by giving him a punishment where he'll be able to become free from the reaction when he's punished properly, appropriately. Political morality is to punish a person by a death sentence in order to save a cruel person from going to hell. The punishment in hell is much more severe than just this a death sentence now, because he has committed a murder or he has killed somebody unjustly. So instead of pardoning him and making him suffer in hell in future, it is better that he be punished now. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit, because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. See, people sometimes say, I can't remember what all I did in my previous life. Why am I made to suffer now? That's because you have done the mistake and you did not atone for it, nor you receive punishment for the mistake you did. So neither you atoned nor you receive punishment. Therefore, in the next life, you have to suffer the reaction. Such a death sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him. You see? Lowest possible punishment. And it is said in the Smriti Shastras that men who are punished by the king on the principle of life for a life are purified of all their sins. See, they became purified. Even though they might have committed a very, very grievous sin of killing another person unjustly. So much so that they may be eligible for being promoted to the planets of heaven. So they are completely freed from the reaction of having committed that sin if they are punished appropriately. Now, something very, very important Srila Prabhupada says here. According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, Manu is a lawgiver for mankind. Even the killer of an animal is to be considered a murderer. Killer of an animal. Nowadays people are killing animals so much. Because animal food is never meant for the civilized man whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. In a civilized society, when there is plenty of vegetables, fruits, grains, milk, why should people kill animal for food? That is the point being made here. Animal food is never meant for the civilized man. And especially civilized human beings are meant for preparing themselves to go back to Godhead. That's a precious opportunity in this human form of life. So, Manu says that in the act of killing an animal, there's a regular conspiracy by the party of sinners, and all of them are liable to be punished as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly. Just like the state law, if a murder happens, it's not just the person who actually killed is punished. Even the others who may be hatching a conspiracy to kill and they engage somebody to kill, even the conspirators are equally guilty of this murder. That is state law. Similarly, in killing of an animal, all those who are responsible, directly or indirectly, for that animal killing will all actually be liable to be punished. Now here Prabhupada is quoting Manu that who are all liable to be punished when an animal killing happens. He who gives permission, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of that foodstuff, animal flesh, and at last he who eats such cooked animal food are all murderers. 6 kinds of persons involved in animal killing are all murderers, even though actual killing is done by one person. But the others, I'll read this again. He who gives permission to kill the animal, somebody is rearing an animal, he actually sells that animal for animal slaughter. Or he may not sell it, but he says, oh, now this animal is of no use to me. You may take it and you may do whatever you want. You can even kill it. No. He is not absolved of that sin of animal killing. So the person who gives permission, the person who kills the animal, obviously, he is liable to be punished. He who sells the slaughtered animal, after the animal is killed, that flesh is sold for those who want to eat meat, animal flesh. He who cooks the animal, somebody is going to cook that meat, because human beings don't eat raw flesh. Unlike tigers and lions and all those carnivorous animals, human beings eat cooked flesh. So somebody is cooking that flesh, and those who administer distribution of this cooked meat. Somebody is engaged in distributing it. And at last, the person who eats cooked animal food are all murderers. 6 types of people are liable to be punished when animal killing happens in a civilized human society. All of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Why? Because no one can create a living being despite all advancement of material science, and therefore no one has the right to kill a living being by one's independent whims. We cannot create life, so we cannot kill. So we should also understand, if an animal is sacrificed in a yajna, then that animal being sacrificed, it will be revived. After the sacrifice, the animal which was killed will be revived. It will be given a new life. How? By brahmanas who know how to chant mantras and actually give new life to a dead animal. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, in a sacrifice, when an animal is killed for the sake of the sacrifice, such animal is given a new life. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, in modern times, when they're killing animals, they are not reviving the animal. They don't know how to give new life. So they are liable to be punished. They cannot kill animals like that. For the animal eaters, the scriptures have sanctioned restricted animal sacrifices only. See, animal sacrifice is restricted. And such sanctions are there just to restrict the opening of slaughterhouses. Just so that people don't systematically kill animals in a slaughterhouse. To prevent that, Shastras gave a concession that under highly restricted conditions, a animal flesh eater may sacrifice an animal in a suitable sacrifice, animal sacrifice. It is not meant for encouraging animal killing. This animal sacrifice sanctioned in the scriptures is never meant for animal killing. The procedure under which animal sacrifice is allowed in the scriptures is both good for the animal sacrificed and also good for the animal eaters. That's the way the scriptures are advising the animal sacrifice to be performed by meat eaters. It's good for the animal in the sense that the sacrificed animal is at once promoted to the human form of life after being sacrificed at the altar. When the rules are followed for animal sacrifice, the animal is immediately promoted to the human form of life. It doesn't have to wait for gradual evolution to the human form. And the animal eater is saved from grosser types of sins, eating meat supplied by organized slaughterhouses. One is never meant to purchase flesh from a slaughterhouse. No. If at all they want to eat, the sanction is there for animal sacrifice to be performed, and in that way one may, under restricted conditions, indulge in meat eating, not otherwise. These slaughterhouses, Srila Prabhupada describes here, are ghastly places for breeding all kinds of material afflictions to society, country, and the people in general. When there's a slaughterhouse, there is a wholesale sinful reaction that the country, the society, the people in general have to suffer. So it is very, very dangerous to have a slaughterhouse. It's not good for the society. The material world is itself a place always full of anxieties. And by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more. How does it become polluted? By war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities. Calamities are because people become sinful in this society. Otherwise, there will be no calamities. So, there is a link between some calamity and natural calamity and the sinful activities indulged in by the people in general. So they're linked up. It is not something accident or some by chance something happened. No. There is no chance, there is no accident in this world. That's what the scriptures explain. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.